If I had to start golf again in 2026 with everything I know, I would do so many things differently. I would avoid mistakes that most golfers miss until it's too late. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 phases that would completely change the way I approach the game of golf. And I promise you, if you follow these steps, your game will improve in a much faster rate. Phase 2 is probably the most important one out of all the phases, and for a beginner, for amateurs, the phase is exactly why their scores are not improving. But don't worry, I will explain all 4 phases step by step so you understand how I would become a great golfer if I would reset my game right now. So let's start with the phase 1, volume first. Phase 1 is all about volume, hundreds of balls hitting hundreds of swings, hundreds of putts to connect your body, your mind, and to understand how the swing actually works. Now I want to say volume first is because if you're a beginner to maybe around 20 handicap, 30-20 handicap, you need quantity over quality. There's many golfers who try to do some advanced technique stuff and don't even work on your basics, and they just try to do quality over quantity. But when you're a beginner, you need to understand how to properly swing the club. If you don't understand how to properly swing the club, you're not going to be able to do the quality. So what I would advise and what I would do for myself is I would just hit thousands of balls, I would putt 1,000 times, and I would just chip 1,000 times. And how I would do this, I would go on a putting green and I would just take 1 meter, 2 meters and just putt for hours and hours. I would go to the chipping, I would place buckets on the ground, maybe pouches, and just chip. Just chip, same with the long game. I would go on a long game and I would just simply grab 2 buckets, 3 buckets. First I would do some pitches, 60 meters, 70, 80. I would try to hit draws, fade, just have fun. Play with quantity and have fun. Do not worry about quality. But one more note here. If you're a beginner, like I'm talking this from myself, I would know how to position myself at start if I was a beginner. But if you're somebody who's actually a beginner, I would take a lesson with a coach, and that lesson should be just a very quick lesson, just to go through few different steps on how to position yourself on putting, chipping, and long game. And once you got that done, then you don't worry about technique, you just do quantity over quality. Now once you've built enough volume, so you understand how to swing, how the motion works, you understand a little bit of motion in golf, then you can proceed to the phase 2, which is mastering the basics. This is the step most golfers miss, and it is exactly why most golfers do not improve their scores, is they don't go into foundations, into fundamentals and basics, they're just trying to go to advanced things, which we will cover in the phase 3. But learning the basics and learning the fundamentals is the most crucial part of this game. Your swing is built on foundations, on basics, alright? First you have to understand, as we said in phase 1, to get the quantity in, but then we have to work a little bit more on quality, which is our technique, which is our basics, okay? And you truly have to refine this part and go through the basics. You don't need your pad, you don't need to change your pad, you don't need to change your arc, you have to change your basics. You have to master your basics. Let me tell you a quick story. Me, after 20 years, I realized that my basics were so off, and that's why my swing wasn't performing as it should. And as a professional who's been playing for more than 20 years, you say, oh man, yeah, he's got good basics. No. Every single professional, every single good player always go back to fundamentals. But for some reasons, amateurs don't go to basics. They just skip this part and go to advanced things. So really refine your basics, and this is what I would do. I would refine the basics to a point where I don't have anything more to change on the foundations, that it's already built in my subconscious, okay? Your basics have to be so in tune with yourself that when you position yourself, let's say for a long game, you almost don't check anymore how you position, how you stance. Of course, every time you practice, you have to check the basics, but you get the idea. So the basics are behind your head and you know how to position yourself. And this is pretty much why you should master the basics, because the basics will essentially create your swing. Once your basics are solid across the entire game, putting, chipping, pitching, bunker game, and long game, then we can move to the phase 3. And the phase 3 is advance only after basics. Now this is very simple. When you got the basics done, when you got the foundations done, and when you master the basics, then we can proceed to get the swing pad, to get the arc, to get the stroke down, pre-shot routine, all of the advanced things that most professional golfers and most scratch players and Most really good golfers do. All right, but you cannot proceed to this one if you haven't mastered the basics, like truly mastered the basics. Now, the important thing here is when you do the advanced things, you always have to think about basics as well. If you're gonna do something advanced in your swing, let's say the pad or your weight transfer or something like that, you will always have to think about basics, because if you do advanced things, you can forget about basics and then your swing will fall apart. And let me tell you one thing, I say that you should work on advanced things after the basics is because if you're, let's say, positioned with your alignment all to the right, then your swing pad is most likely going to be more inside. Now if you're trying to, if you skip the phase 2 and you go to phase 3 and you try to improve your alignment with advanced technique and trying to improve your pad, you're gonna play with an error and an error. All right, you have to improve your first thing done, which is the basics, and then this will improve how your swing pad is gonna go. And this is why most amateurs, they go to advanced things and in the end their swing is all crooked up because they haven't gone through phase 2 yet. Okay, it's very simple. Phase 4 is transferring everything to the course. Nothing matters in your swing if your swing falls apart under pressure or you cannot swing consistently, right? So it's really important that your swing works good under pressure. If it doesn't, then you have to go back to phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. Now, most golfers think that having a good on-course swing, it's all about the swing and all about the technique. It's about mindset as well. If you got a good swing and you actually feel confident on your practice, you're gonna feel confident on the course. And I can tell you this from my own experience. I'm telling you all of this from my own experience. When I had a bad game, when I was, swinging inside and, I was all crooked up, I wasn't confident on the course because I knew I'm gonna hit like a weird shape. But now that I've mastered the basics, I'm confident. I'm gonna go on the course and I'm gonna be so much more confident. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. Do not be afraid on the course to experiment with your game, even on the tournament. If you want to be good, please do not be afraid to hit a ball. It's only a game. You have to experiment on the course. I've literally experimented with my driver to get the consistency for years. It was 20 meters of fairway. I took my driver out and I hit 3 balls. And at first 1 year I was missing them, but then slowly I realized, you know what? This is actually not that bad. I just go and I just hit a fade into the middle of the fairway. And this is where you put your swing under pressure, and once you improve more and practice more, and you always go back to phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3, now this is where your swing will essentially develop a good consistent swing that's gonna work under the pressure. It's very simple. Do drills, work with your friends, and do not be afraid to experiment exactly what you did on the practice to put that on the course. It doesn't matter if you made few bad shots, but this is the only way to go out of your comfort zone and to improve in golf. Now let's be honest, becoming a solid golfer will take time. So if you go back to phase 1, your phase 1 is probably not gonna take a few days. It's probably gonna take weeks or months or maybe even years, right? When you move to phase 2, which is mastering the basics, this is where you're gonna spend most of your time. Like most of your time, guys. No advanced things, no quantity is going to give you such an improved swing than your basics and your fundamentals. Go listen to every single professional player. They're gonna tell you, oh, I always go back to basics. I always check my posture. I always check my ball position. I always check how my head is positioned. I always check my grip. It's always the fundamentals. And let me give you a quick tip. If most golfers would just complete phase 1 and phase 2, they would be an absolutely monster of a golfer. Like truly, just phase 1 and phase 2, rather than just phase 3 and phase 4. Then you become a really good golfer. But if you just implement phase 2 and phase 1 and phase 2, you're gonna become an absolutely monster of a golfer, like truly. So that's my full blueprint if I would start golf again in 2026. Follow the phases, put in the work, and I can assure you that if you go exactly by all the 4 phases, you're gonna be an unstoppable golfer by the end of 2026. If you have any questions, comment below. I wish you a good 2026 season, and we're gonna see you in the next video. Thank you.